Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Felita Williams, and I'm the Senior Vice President for Programs at the Gardner Institute. And I'm delighted to welcome you today to the Gardner Institute's Leading Academic Units Community of Practice Info Session. I'm joined by some colleagues today, and we're going to have a conversation with you about this new opportunity and hopefully hear your questions as well. Next. So those of you who joined should have seen the poll. We're going to talk about that a little later in the agenda. But today we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, who the Gardner Institute is. We're going to introduce your community of practice facilitators. We're going to talk about why a leading academic unit community, why we think this is important, give you some key details about the community, and then we'll accept any questions and answers. Any questions? And by the way, if at any time during this presentation you have a question, drop it in the chat. I have a colleague that's helping to monitor those questions, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. So next slide. So who are we? The Gardner Institute is very closely a 25-year-old institute, about to be 26-year-old institute that resides in Brevard, North Carolina. And we are, our main goal, the work that we do over these 25 years, we work with institutions to make sure that every learner learns a credential. We work with faculty and staff at those institutions to make sure that some meaningful career opportunities are available for students and help faculty and staff meet students where they are to make sure they get their credential. Our goal is that expanding access and opportunity for all students. And so that's a little bit about what we are. We work with, next slide. We work with, so who we serve public institutions, private institutions, for-profit. We do Research One universities to technical colleges. We work with all types of colleges for this type of work. Over our 26 years, and I should mention that we now are expanding to graduate schools, graduate institutions, graduate students as well. But right now we've served over 5 million undergraduate students. We've served 722 colleges and universities, and we have a Chief Academic Officer community of practices very similar to the one you're about to hear about that we've had 29 Chief Academic Officers to complete to this point. In fact, I think our numbers are even higher now. Next slide. So why should you work with the Gardner Institute? We do have a proven record of improving retention rates and improving graduation rates as you work with some of our processes and our programs. You can see on the slide the retention increase, and you can see also the increase of graduation rate over 4-year, 5-year, and 6-year graduation. And that's the goal. That's the goal, is to help students receive that credential that they need to have a better life and to be able to move forward. The next slide. And return on investment. I mean, the work that you do with us, you make an investment to do the work with us, and in return, you get money that comes to you for student retention, student enrollment. And so you can see on the slide the actual enrollment revenue change for institutions that have worked with the Gardner Institute. And you can also see the revenue growth from retention. You spend a lot of time recruiting first-year students into your institution, and the more of them that you retain, the stronger your institution becomes. And so that's the work that we do here and the work we pride ourselves on at the Gardner Institute. So the founders of the Gardner Institute are Dr. Johnny Gardner and Dr. Betsy Barefoot, and they have been writing about first-year experiences and gateway courses for the last 25 years. What we have are examples of our latest publications around thought leadership around these examples of gateway courses, paying attention to the transfer experience your students have, and then understanding the value of the first year experience for your students. So now we will talk a little bit about the facilitators of this particular experience. The community facilitators include Dr. Scott Newman, and Dr. Newman is a professor, has served as professor, assistant dean, and president. He's currently professor at Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma City. Dr. Paul Lepore, who served as faculty assistant dean for educational programs in the college at Arizona State University, and he's currently senior dean of students, senior associate dean of student and academic programs at Arizona State University. And last but not least, Dr. Suzanne Wilson Summers, who's not with us today, but will be with us when you join us and go through this experience. She served as faculty, academic dean, assistant vice president for teaching and learning, and provost. And currently she's retired, and she's not with us today because she's actually making a move to her new location. And I'm Felita Williams. I'm the senior vice president of programs at the Gardner Institute. I've been here roughly 2 years. I come from a two-year degree granting institution, 10 years of experience there, state colleges, and then 18 years at the system office at University System of Georgia, where I was vice chancellor for faculty and student success. And so this is the team that you would work with if you join us. And we've got quite a few years of experience of dean, department chair, director among us, and we'd love to share some of our insights and help you to move innovation through your institution. The next slide. I think I hand this off to Dr. Lepore, and we're going to revisit the poll that you took at the beginning.
Well, welcome everyone. It's really it's terrific to see the range of institutions that are represented at today's info session. I'm Paul Lepore, Senior Associate Dean at Arizona State University. I've been working with the Gardner Institute for over 10 years. Our institution, our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, went through a redesign of our first year, and we liked the process so much we decided to go forward and do that for our transfer students. So I am a huge convert when it comes to what the Gardner Institute can provide, and I know the success that we have enjoyed over this past decade is directly attributable to the work that we've done with them. So we have at least one response, but you can also throw these into the chat as well of things that you would like to learn. So I'd like to learn how others translate big picture strategies into daily practice aligned with student-centered policies and processes. Okay, you've written our advertising copy. We really appreciate that, whoever put that down. It's very, very much in keeping what our goals are. You know, at universities, we're given broad and audacious goals by our presidents, our chancellors, our provosts, our system leaders, our regents. And our job, as I affectionately refer to us as adjective enhanced deans or middle management, department chairs, folks whose job it is to improve the student experience, need to then think about what are the brass tacks? How are we going to go about doing that? How are we going to set up approaches, reform efforts? How are we going to bring together coalitions of people to be able to do this work? It means marshaling data. It means understanding the various ways that we can improve the student experience. It means making sure that what we create is sustainable, so that the work we're doing is not just a flash in the pan, but it lasts forever. So we got another one from Michelle. Aligning state and university goals for four-year graduation rates with the needs of today's learner, most of whom are working full-time and caring for family, even as traditional college students, ... This is terrific. Taking the goals that our state and university provide us, and then to move the dime on the things that matter, like graduation rates, retention rates, student placement, are all the things that you are charged to doing. And our job, Scott, myself, Felita, what we're hoping to be able to do over this community of practice is to help you plan out a way that you can help achieve those goals that is very much targeted to your setting. So we're going to talk about approaches, but give you the tools to be able to do this work and to do it well. So let me turn it over to the next slide and Scott, my colleague and partner in crime.
Thank you, Paul. And I want to echo Paul's comments. We're really excited that you're here today, and we're appreciative you taking time out of what we know are your very busy schedules to learn a little bit more about this important community of practice that we've been working on. And I also want to say, like Paul, I had a chance, an opportunity when I was a provost to work with the Gardner Institute as a client on the client side. I was really happy with the interactions we had with the Gardner Institute fellows and other personnel, and the initiatives and just the expertise that they brought to the table. That when I had an opportunity, like Paul, to be on the other side of it, on the Gardner side, certainly jumped at the chance, and am excited about the continued growth that I've been able to have. So, but we're glad you're here today. So why are we offering a community of practice about leading academic units in the area of student success? Well, we all know, I think you know, if you don't, hopefully we can persuade you that obviously the most important work of the institutions, the reason our institutions exist is because what happens in the classrooms, what happens in the departments, what happens in the schools and divisions and colleges, because that's really the true work that our institutions are equipped to do. So obviously, because of that, student success has to occur and has to be led at those levels. Otherwise, it'll always fall short of having the impacts and the changes and the positive impacts that it can have otherwise. So, you know, I was a provost, I was a president. I can certainly give any talking points that I wanted to give. I could, you know, cast a vision about the advancement of student success at the institution. But I knew in both of those cases that I had to rely on our deans and department heads and school heads and peoples and those kinds of unit level positions to really take that work and implement it in ways that are meaningful to those particular areas and the students in those areas. So that's why we've created this community of practice to focus on those particular population leaders. So Paul's already touched on some of these, so I'll just run through them quickly. But when we were planning, as we've been planning the outcomes for this particular community of practice, obviously we want to ensure that there's alignment between and across institutional and unit goals and priorities to ensure that everyone is pulling on the same rope at the same time in the same direction. Obviously, utilizing data to better understand the barriers that students in your unit are encountering is an important outcome for us from this experience. The leader's ability to utilize those data, as well as other information. So your faculty and staff today have insights. We need to engage them about those insights that they have about potential challenges and barriers that your students might be encountering and how to mitigate those. As well as obviously the strategies or the sets of strategies in some cases that you need to address those barriers. For your particular students, one of the things that's really important to us is that you bring the context, you help us understand who your students are, and we work with you to create or identify and implement meaningful student success strategies. Obviously, we want to help you identify the opportunities that you as leaders within your respective contexts have to advance your teams and the units in terms of marshaling them in the direction of engaging in this important work. Helping leaders utilize one or more strategies to implement the student success strategies. So very often the work that we do involves change. And so how do we help you implement change initiatives in order for them to be successful? And then obviously we have to think long-term. So we want to make sure that the leaders we work with are planning to ensure the continuous positive advancement of the student success initiatives that they've implemented, and hopefully perhaps others in subsequent time periods by utilizing data and making sure that the ongoing engagement of stakeholders is occurring in a meaningful way. As we thought a lot about who specifically should be engaged in this community of practice, we kept coming back to this idea of those who are really involved in leading initiatives and personnel, especially faculty. I think we all can agree that there are some unique nuances and opportunities and, dare I say, challenges of sometimes working with faculty. And so we really want to work with those in that space because we think they're the greatest opportunities exist for those. So in that case, we're talking about deans, and as Paul said, adjective enhanced deans, department and division chairs, again, adjective enhanced chairs, directors of schools, program directors, anyone who's involved in really leading student success units, again, involving personnel and involving in particular faculty or those who that we're really focusing on with this particular community of practice.
So to provide some details about what the 8 sessions look like, we have our launch, which will take place in October in Chicago in person, where we're going to set the framework. And then for the next 7 meetings, we're going to be filling up your toolkit with approaches and practical strategies to be able to launch successful student success initiatives at your institution. So it starts with assessing what's actually going on. It's looking at data to be able to make the arguments and to be able to measure your success. It's talking about the social dimensions of change, where making student success a unit priority. How do you go about doing that where you might not actually have one mind about how change needs to proceed? We're going to talk about building coalitions and actually doing the work to be able to set a goal, to bring people together, and to use that coalition to really enact sustainable change. We're going to look at the variety of different ways that student success strategies actually take place. Yes, it's in the classroom. Yes, it's in our courses, but it's in other ways that touch on the academic mission, from advising to how we place our students, to how we connect with other areas of the enterprise, whether that's student affairs or financial aid or other places. Managing and implementing complex change and sustaining those efforts will be pieces of the puzzle as well. So that when you leave at the end of our year together and the 8 sessions that we will be sharing ideas, you'll have a nice blueprint for you to be able to now enact the type of change that you know your institution needs. Next slide. So some details, October 31st is our kickoff session. It will take place in Chicago as part of the pre-conference workshop at the Gardner Institute's annual symposium. And then the 7 monthly sessions that will follow will take place starting in December and finish off in June. They will be 90 minutes each. The first hour will be a combination of us providing some information, you sharing your successes and challenges, and then working collaboratively with your peers. We leave the last 30 minutes to deal specifically with issues that the members in the community have to provide feedback from not only the folks leading the community of practice, but also the other participants. There'll be online materials that'll be available before and after each session to help you in your journey to creating sustainable and impactful student success initiatives. Next slide. And this is where I leave it to Felita to talk turkey.
Thank you. You know, this might be a great time to just ask if there are any questions, if you want to drop them in the chat for us. Or Brittany, could we let them unmic if they'd like to ask a question right now? This might be a good time to get some questions in. And while you think about that or process that, I hope that you understand or can feel that this is not a sort of a cookie cutter sort of experience. You are going to bring in the challenges that you have. You're going to bring in the goals that you have from your institution. And then we are going to work to help to make sure you have success with getting those goals accomplished. And so this is customized. You know, you'll be in a group, you'll have a community to talk to share ideas, problem solve, etc., bounce ideas off. But it will be your experience, each experience will be unique, and that we'll be meeting those goals. Any questions? Okay, if not, as you can see on the slide, it's $4,445 per individual. This includes attending the symposium that we just talked about in person at the kickoff conference. It does not include travel and your meals, so you would be responsible for that. But this fee will cover you at that event. And well, the next thing says that it doesn't cover travel. But we are encouraging you to come to the in-person kickoff, largely because we really want to create a community. And even though Zoom is amazing and Teams, and we use these tools daily in our work, there's something about coming together in a room, meeting each other, talking through examples and ideas that really unites a group. And then we would continue with the 7 months virtual. Next slide. So are there any questions that we haven't answered, or do you have additional questions? Anything else you'd like to learn? In the chat or well, let's just say in the chat. Any messages in the chat? You can unmute and start your video if you'd like. So you can unmute and ask questions. Thank you, Brittany.
We couldn't have been that clear.
I was about to say, we think we're clear. Do you envision one person from the institution attending, since there's not a team rate? You will get a discount if you do a team. So we can't, one person can attend, but if you have several deans or several department chairs, I think there's a 10% team discount rate. So please bring your teams. I'm sorry we had that on the slide. But thank you for asking. That's important. You might want to make sure.
I have a
Kathy?
question. Hi.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask about, I mean, probably all of us, but I know I can speak for my institution as far as not being heavily resourced in this student success space. We're trying to develop a division for student success now, and want to see kind of different types of models and budgets and things like that that would help in making sure that we implement, because people keep hearing student success, they see us continue to restructure all the time. And so I want to make sure that if faculty especially are involved, that they understand the value added that they can offer, as well as the value added of a student success initiative such as this.
Kathy, you touch on a central pillar of what we're hoping to accomplish. One is providing the perspective of how to make the arguments of why doing this work matters. That's marshaling data. It's developing coalitions to be able to share in the vision and to help shape the vision. It's also having a perspective, and you said it quite clearly. There are a lot of different ways in which student success happens at institutions, and having folks like yourself who can understand that deeply to look at the impact that financial aid policies will have, or new onboarding or orientation programs, or how gateway course changes can have an impact on the bottom line, which is student success, retention, persistence, is really important. Very rarely do we as academic professionals get trained in these areas. We oftentimes get backed into this as like, here's your new job as department chair or program leader or assistant dean or whatever. And part of what the Gardner Institute tries to do is to fill in that knowledge gap and to be able to pull together kind of the learned experience from many institutions. You saw earlier in Felita's presentation, the hundreds of institutions that Gardner has worked with to be able to help create a community where sharing that information just gives you kind of an amplified role at your institution. So I would say what your institution is going through of thinking really carefully about what student success looks like is amazing. Investing in the people that are going to help lead that is really the piece that we are hoping to help shepherd along with our community of practice.
Thank you.
And my colleague Brittany put in the chat, register as a team of 4 or more from the same institution and receive a 10% discount for all participants. So I almost got it right, but thank you, Brittany, for that clarification. Are there any other questions? So we hope to see all of you in Chicago. If you have any questions about, there's something I did forget to say. In the pricing, you can pay over more than one semester. So we can work it where there can be billing for payment for attendance. So if you have questions like that, talk to us. We also look at your enrollment as well. So give us a call, but to make your final decision and let us know. And we look forward to hearing from you.